Good morning, everyone. It's Saturday, August 15th. So, I just got done doing some research. Took me about 2-3 hours here. I was going through trying to find some glimmer of hope towards the next stimulus. And I ended up finding something that not a lot of people are talking about, but could be pretty good towards our next stimulus hopes. In order for me to keep making these videos, I just ask that you guys please just click that subscribe button down below. I spend a lot of time on these videos getting everything ready. I appreciate it a bunch, helps me out a lot. So let's go over what I found. So it's a small bipartisan splinter group or a splinter cell in the military that usually operates covertly, right? But this is quietly being talked about. It's a three-year-old caucus called the Problem Solvers Caucus, and they're heavily discussing solutions and compromises with the White House. The Problem Solvers Caucus is a group of 24 Republicans and 24 Democrats, so it's equal on both sides. And what's going on with this Problem Solvers Caucus is the group has quietly begun negotiations with Mark Meadows in the White House. Their last meeting was yesterday, and they have more meetings scheduled. So they have a representative in the White House. They're talking. And what's going on? Representative Tom Reed, one of the Republicans in the Problem Solvers Caucus, said that we have reached out as talks have broken down on both sides to show that both sides here are willing to get negotiations back together, right? Since our leaders and representatives on each side have stopped negotiations, they're in recess. The Problem Solvers Caucus here is kind of reaching out saying, hey, look, we're willing to keep negotiating and get something done here. He said, quote, I appreciate Mark Meadows taking the call for us and spending time with us going through where potential differences are, and really there's a lot of common ground. He said there's not as much differences as a lot of the media is reporting, and that they actually have a lot of things that they already agree upon. He said that the problem in Congress is that no one trusts each other, whereas this problem-solving group respect and listen to each other, and at the end of the day, they want to put the country first, as opposed to the leaders that we have in there right now, who might not be their biggest thing. So the caucus is equal on both sides, and it's pro funding for the post office, even though it is equal on both sides, and they are pro getting a stimulus package done to help the American people. So sounds good to me. The group believes that they can come to a compromise on both sides that's adequately equal and fair, and they believe that they can get support for this and get it passed by the president. So this is really good news. I mean, all we've been seeing in the media lately is bad news, bad news, bad news, right? No one can agree to anything. The Democrats want a liberal wish list passed. The Republicans are saying, well, we got Trump's executive orders now, so everything is good. We've been seeing a lot of not great news, and the media is not reporting anything about this. I have not seen a whole lot of talk about this positive group that's coming out and the chances that it could be good, right? I mean, it's good because if a bill is not passed before the re-election, it's going to be very, very difficult for a lot of these leaders to get re-elected, right? The entire House of Representatives is up for election, and about 1/3 of the Senate is also up for re-election. So that's a lot of people. That's like 460 or so people up for re-election. So what that means is they're basically highly incentivized to get a bill of stimulus done before that election. Otherwise, it's going to be incredibly difficult for people to want to vote you back in when you've screwed us over. We haven't gotten any help, and you're unwilling to just get something done, right? What I want to go over now is unemployment. So talking about unemployment, we've heard that California will not be able to implement the executive order. We've heard the same from Kentucky, Pennsylvania, and New York. So if you live in one of those states, they've already said that they're not going to be able to implement Donald Trump's unemployment executive orders. We've had no statement on it from South Dakota, Illinois, or Hawaii. Ohio and South Carolina intend to implement limited versions of the executive order. And West Virginia is the sole state that intends to implement the executive order. Every other state that I did not say is not sure if they can implement the executive order. So this unemployment executive order is not really going over too well, right? The only state that said, okay, yeah, Mr. Trump, we can do that executive order, no problem, is West Virginia. Every other state is like, we either can't do that or we're just not sure if we can even do that, right? It's really not going over as good. The only executive order that's really going over well right now is the student loan forgiveness one, or the student loan deferment. Everything else is not really going over too well as far as the Trump's orders that we've been put out. So, but I did want to just update you guys on that glimmer of hope, the group that I found, that caucus, that has some hope there. It has a chance of getting something done. Hopefully they can come together and come to a compromise and get a bill where Trump could potentially pass it, right? So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate every one of you. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend.